In the U.S., stock index futures moved into the green ahead of Thursday's open as investors geared up for news out of the political and economic spheres. Around 6 a.m. Eastern Time, Dow futures rose 19 points, indicating a positive open of 21.08 points. Futures on the S&P 500 and Nasdaq both rose, signaling a positive open for each respective market. The future of trade relations between the U.S. and China took a new turn in the last 24 hours. After news emerged that the U.S. was seeking to reignite trade discussions with China. In economic data, jobless claims and consumer price index figures are due out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, followed by the monthly Treasury statement at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. International central banks are likely to have some impact on markets today. Prior to the Wall Street Open, the Bank of England publishes its minutes from its Monetary Policy Committee meeting. And in Frankfurt, the European Central Bank holds another governing council meeting and press conference. In the States, Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic and Dallas Fed President Robert Kaplan are expected to deliver remarks at two separate events. In corporate news, Kroger and Adobe Systems are both scheduled to publish their latest earnings. And in Asia, markets were largely positive today on the back of news that the U.S. was attempting to restart trade negotiations with China. The Nikkei 225 saw a gain of 0.96%. South Korea's Kospi also climbed by 0.14%. Greater China markets fell from their earlier highs but were broadly positive as Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index surged by 2.54%. Over on the mainland, the Shanghai Composite was higher by 1.15%, while the Shenzhen Composite returned to positive territory, ending the trading day higher by 0.71%. In Australia, the ASX 200 ended the day 0.76% lower, with its utilities sector down by 2.15%. I'm back here. Nigeria recently signed a memorandum of understanding with a Chinese firm on first ever cotton value chain industry. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Okechukwu Enelama, says the MoU was signed with Shandong Ri International Fashion Industry, a Chinese firm, and the deal is worth $2 billion. Now, this puts Nigeria's cotton potentials on spotlight. Let's look at this with a research analyst with financial derivatives company, Nosike Nwajide. Hello, Nosike. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Good afternoon, Chimezie. Thanks for having
me. Could you give us an overview of current state of Nigerian cotton industry as it is now?
Okay, the cotton industry produces the output is about 348,000 tons as at 2016, making it the 22nd largest producer of cotton in the world. That figure stands or represents about 1.5% of global output. In Africa, we're sixth, behind our West African producers. We have a potential of about 600,000 tons of cotton per year, but due to a lot of challenges, Nigeria is unable to meet that. There's the low yield and returns in recent years, and farmers have devoted most of their land to cash crops with high yield and returns like maize, cassava, and soybean. And it's important to note that these farmers are predominantly small-scale farmers and concentrated in the Savannah Belt areas of the country, at the northwest and the south, some places in the southwest. The major use of cotton, textile. There's a cotton seed oil, there's livestock feeding, but it's predominantly textile. And the textile industry, most people sometimes mistake it for the cotton industry, but they are two separate industries. The output from the cotton industry has been inadequate in meeting the demand for local demand for the textile industry, and that the textile industry has resorted to importation. And a lot of challenges have seen the number of textile mills drop from 124 about 20 years ago to about 32 years ago.
Okay. Now, talking about these challenges, what does Nigeria stand to benefit from this MoU with China now?
There are quite a number of benefits. In my opinion, the one that's most crucial is the technology that the Chinese bring. The technology and the skill. They bring modern production processes across every stage of the value chain, from ginning to spinning to weaving and to garment making eventually. It allows Nigeria will eventually become globally competitive and to lower our textile prices, and Nigeria can compete favorably globally. There's also the jobs it produces to local farmers across the country, in the north and the southwest. There's also a ready-made market in China. The company is a Chinese company, Shandong Rui International Fashion Industry. There's a ready-made market in China for the outputs, and I think it's opened doors for more investment in agri-based value chains.
And with this MoU signed now, how important is it now for Nigeria to probably sign the African Free Trade Agreement?
In my opinion, I think this MoU, if successful, it basically just gives a blueprint for other manufacturing subsectors to follow before the agreement is signed. The agreement doesn't exactly favor countries with small manufacturing bases. It's important to know that Nigeria is hugely reliant on imports, and if you open up your country to the rest of Africa, Nigeria's huge population makes it a target, and to be flooded with low-cost manufacturers. And I'm sure this is on the mind of our policymakers, and they will hope that this signed MoU will be successful, and it will basically present a blueprint for other subsectors in the manufacturing industry to follow suit.
All right, thank you for your time. Nosike Nwajide is one of the research analysts with Financial Derivatives Company. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll cross over to the Nigerian stock market for update. Do stay with us.